Normally here at Top 8 Studios we do countdowns, hence the name, but we've decided to branch off and do something different. As you might be able to see, this is Hitman. I don't really have a script today. I'm just going to sort of do a freestyle review, my comments and thoughts on the first episode, because this title is actually episodic. Honestly, I'm not a huge fan of the episodic model. I didn't think it was a great move initially, but the way that this game is designed, I'm actually okay with it. The actual contracts themselves are huge. The maps are massive. There's plenty of space to roam around in. Not only that, there's multiple ways to approach each contract. There's probably a dozen ways for every target, and some places like the first one here that we're going to start and look at actually has two targets, so that's pretty cool. One thing I will say is that it is sort of glitchy. Aside from the load times being a little ridiculous, which they are, I mean, load time doesn't bother me. I'm totally okay with waiting for a genuinely good experience. That has never really been a pet peeve of mine, but the way that these load really kind of freak me out, because every time they load, it looks like the thing is going to crash, and it does. I've had this crash a lot. I've had this crash multiple times, so it's very important to be saving all the time. And since I mentioned bugginess, I did pre-order. I did get the special suit and the white rubber ducky, which is a distraction device. I think I haven't used it yet. And you know, the silver suppressed semi-automatic handgun which you carry. I did pre-order it, and those should have been options, as you saw in that screen earlier. And now you can see what I meant about the loading times here. They're just a little long. Sometimes that barcode, that revolving barcode on the bottom, sort of just freaks out and stops. I don't like it. This is definitely a return to its roots as far as stealth goes. You're not going to be shooting your way out of a lot of situations here, which is fine. I like stealth games. I think it's fairly realistic that one person with a semi-automatic handgun versus 18 armed police officers, I mean, you're kind of screwed. In the last iteration of Hitman, that wasn't necessarily the case. You could shoot your way out of situations, which I felt was unrealistic. And I know everyone's going to say, well, you know, there's a lot of things about the game which is unrealistic, which is true. There are. That's absolutely a fact. But I'm just okay with that whole deal. As you can see, I'm trying to get some filler here, but as you can see, the loading times are long. I would normally cut this, but I'm just leaving it in to show you sort of what you can expect, because this is average. This is like every time you load in. And it will also stagger and pause and sometimes crash on both the pause and the start, or since it's PS4 options screen, if you hit the trackpad on the controller, or you hit the options button to bring up either of the menus, because they're separate different menus. When that happens, it will stagger, and it'll I've had that crash as well. I hope that they come out with some sort of patch. A lot of the times, I feel with most games today, they're not done when they come out. I think they produce a title that's kind of done, and then they fix it and patch it and kind of piece it back together and get it all ready after you get it. I shouldn't be getting games and putting patches on my machine that are 10, 15, 20 gigs right out of the box. That means that they didn't finish it. That means that I'm not putting a finished product into my machine. You know, if I put in a game and it downloads and installs and it's good and it's running, and I get a patch for like a gig or 2 gigs, that's fine. I can see where they would want to just, final touches, fix things up. But a lot of times today I'm getting huge patches for games that are big titles, big name titles that should not be pushing deadlines to that extent where they need to come out with a patch that massive. So as you can see here, we're just starting the level. The maps are fairly large, as I mentioned earlier, and you will come across these sort of events like I'm just coming up on now, where you'll see an opportunity. You'll have an option to track that opportunity, and that usually leads to either the completion of a challenge there are a lot of different challenges, which are basically different ways to get at your targets and different ways to eliminate your targets. And that's cool. It does mix it up. It adds variety, and it increases the replayability factor by about 100%. So you have a sort of X-ray vision, which you use constantly, and it's good. It's a good thing to have. The white dots you see over people's heads means that they're people who will recognize you and stop you. I pretty much so far have always subdued people. I haven't been that much in the way of a hitman. I haven't killed that many people. Seriously, I promise. And they just stay out, so I don't really see any point in killing them. You do have a lot of different disguises. I just wear his disguise, which means that as long as I don't get too close to someone with a white dot over their head who will in turn recognize this disguise, I won't be recognized. And that's great. So, and this particular outfit is good for getting around the grounds. Certain things like the one I just walked past, that lead pipe, you can't conceal, which is up on the D-pad. So you conceal something that you pick up. As you can see, I'm walking through an area that was secured if I was in my normal attire. There's a lot of great audio clips that you'll hear in the world around you, like this guy talking about how it's a prototype car, which at a high-end Paris fashion event you would expect to happen, particularly with the super wealthy. So this kind of gives you an idea of the map size. It's there's multiple levels on each map, and it looks sort of small, but trust me, it's not. There's a lot of space. There's a lot of ground to cover. You have to remember this is like 3 or 4 stories in depth, and the floor space, although the map looks smaller, it's huge. So I guess we're going to go over just real quick graphics, gameplay, sound control, and replay value. Just to sort of wrap it up as a review, I don't want to have giant, half-hour play sessions. I'm going to try to keep these fairly concise because I do plan on doing some more game reviews in the future, unless you guys want longer clips. If you want a half-hour of gameplay with me talking like an idiot, go feel free. Leave a comment in the section down below and say, yes, I want 30 minutes, or no, I definitely don't. Whatever, just let me know. So first of all, I'm going to go over control real quick. Control's great. It's much more, I feel like it's more accurate. I feel like it's more of almost a precise technical control than prior Hitmans, at least definitely more so than the last one. If you see my character sort of stuttering when going straight, that is not the control, that is my controller. My PS4 controller has been wrecked. Thank you, Black Ops. It's just got destroyed. I've used it. It's the one that came with the system. I've been using it forever, and at this point it's really just completely shot. I need to get a new one. So if you do see that, don't worry, that's not a normal thing with the game. I think that the gameplay, as far as control goes, is pretty fantastic. Next up is sound. The sound is good. I like the variety and depth of the audio clips. They had a lot of voice actors in on this. There's all these little conversations going on that's kind of cool. It makes it really feel alive. That being said, I don't think it really goes above and beyond in the sound category. It's good. It's not pushing boundaries or breaking molds or anything, but for what it is, it's not bad. Next, I'm going to go over graphics. I'm not going to talk about that. I think that's kind of silly. Everyone just look at it. It looks good. Graphics are great. Moving on. I haven't seen any screen tearing or anything like that. There's really been very little in the way of that sort of issue. And as far as replay value, I'm going to actually have to go with like a 9 or 9.5 on replay. There's just so many ways. You know what? I'm just going to say 10. Going for an all-out 10. It really is the sort of thing that even if you're not someone who needs things perfect or not someone who really likes to go back and perfect every part of a mission, it's something that's very inviting to be replayed. It's designed to be replayed. The replayability factor is huge, and if I wasn't able to give this a 10 for replay value, I would be much more unhappy with the fact that this is an episodic release. And it really only gets away with being episodic because of that huge replay factor. So, should you buy this game? If you're hesitant, I suppose you can always buy the first episode, give it a shot, see what you think. Um, should you buy the whole $60 up front? Yeah. If you like Hitman, especially if you like the first Hitman, the real, the classic ones, then absolutely. I feel like that you guys would like this. It's a return to that in a big way. Um, and if you haven't really done stealth at all, or you don't really play a lot of stealth games, I think this is definitely, if you're going to play one, this would be not the ideal place to start. The ideal place to start, I would say, would be the earlier Splinter Cells. But this is not bad. This would be a fine starting point for most people. And I suppose that is one of the better things about it being episodic. I'll let you just listen to the voice acting here real quick.
Oh, are you? Yeah, well, look, I know it's late, but look, if you just... Look, I only need a lens for my camera. It's an emergency. Palais Walewska. It's downtown at... Yes, the Sanguine Fashion Show. I'm about to do an interview with Viktor Novikov, and my intern must have just dropped the equipment bag because...
According to the young fashion blogger, Novikov has agreed to do a live interview. This could be a good time to catch the Sanguine CEO off guard. The location, however, is currently unknown, and in any case, the blogger needs a replacement lens for her camera. May I suggest you help a girl in need?
So that's the sort of narration you'll hear just from the regular, your handler, I suppose you could call her.
Excuse me, I couldn't help but overhear. Is this what you're looking for?
Oh, God, yes! Yes, thank you so much. Oh, what do I owe you?
Just glad I could help.
Thanks, mister. You're a lifesaver.
And you can choose to track these events or not track them. So if you feel like tracking them is too hand-holdy, or you feel like it's not enough of a challenge, I don't think that's the case, but if that's how you feel, you can definitely not track those events, or you can choose to change course in the middle and track something else, maybe a different opportunity that you didn't know existed or thought would be interesting. On a scale of 1 to 10, well, really the scale of 1 to 10 in the modern gaming industry is completely ridiculous, because anything below a 5 no one will probably ever look at. It's a scale of 1 to 10, so that's really completely ridiculous. But anyway, on the modern scale of 1 to 10 that's commonly accepted and used throughout the majority of the industry and the gaming community, I would have to give this an 8.5. I'm really not happy with the glitchiness and the number of crashes that I've had, which is ridiculous. I've had maybe 5 or 6 crashes in one session, which is that's unheard of. I've never played a game where this has happened before on a console system like this. At least not anywhere near that consistently. But aside from that, the actual game itself is better than that. It should be scoring 9s. I would be happy to give this a 9 if that did not happen, but it does happen. I have lost save files. I've had corrupted data. It has not been an enjoyable launch. It's not been a great introduction for me. I'm still going to play every contract and beat the game. I like it a lot. I think it's very well done. I just think the technical implementation wasn't really great. And it suffers because of that. Just real quick, you're going to see how fast you die, which is very quickly. If you're in full alert like that. And we're heading up towards the 14-minute mark here, so I think we're going to wrap it up. But anyway, this is our first ever review of a video game on our Top 8 Studios channel. So if you liked it, give us a thumbs up. Please subscribe. We're a very tiny little baby YouTube channel. It's a little bit over 100 subscribers, which is great. I'm happy we have those 100, but if anyone else wants to click the big red button down below, feel free. There's other videos which we have out there, different countdowns, top 8s and whatnot. I just did a 8 safest safes or vaults video. I thought was pretty cool. I had a lot of fun making it. I think you might have a lot of fun watching it. And we're going to be sort of expanding. I'm just going to put up some more game reviews anyway, but I'm also going to be branching out into possibly some tech review area as well. So if you guys have any thoughts about that. Another thing, to comment on. So that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Have a good one.